Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in.
So, if you have ever tried to navigate the entirely baffling and, let's be honest, unpredictable world of human relationship.
Which is pretty much all of us, right?
Exactly. Whether you're actively dating or you're married or you're really just trying to understand how two completely different people manage to coexist.
Today's mission is definitely for you.
It really is, because today we are exploring the mechanics of romantic connection.
Mhm.
Specifically, we're looking at that tension between unpredictable, almost slapstick chaos and the quiet, profound bonds that actually sustain us over time.
And our roadmap for this exploration is a really fascinating short story.
Yeah, it's titled Caution, Falling in Love, literally.
Right, and it's a standout piece from a collection called Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah al-Khalifa.
It's such a great source.
It is a remarkably layered collection. Al-Khalifa generally specializes in examining those unspoken, softly lingering moments of connection between people.
Right.
But this specific story takes a much louder, more disruptive approach
Yeah.
to arrive at that same quiet truth. So we're going to use it to dissect not just the old opposites attract trope, but the underlying psychology of why leaning into the absurd, messy parts of life might actually be the truest form of connection.
I just find the contrast at the heart of the story so compelling. Because on one hand, you have this hyper-organized, mild-mannered mechanical engineer,
Right.
and on the other hand, you have a woman who basically operates like a walking natural disaster. On paper, it makes absolutely no sense. Okay, let's unpack this.
We really need to look at the character profiles first.
Definitely.
Because the author isn't just giving us quirky personalities here. He's setting up two completely opposing coping mechanisms.
So the setup gives us Nora first, and the text describes her as kinetic,
Kinetic.
which honestly feels like a very polite way to describe a whirlwind. Just to give you an idea of her baseline reality, in a single hour, she manages to spill coffee on her boss
Oh, no.
and a client.
Both in 1 hour.
In a single hour. But my absolute favorite detail is that she once got locked in a department store dressing room overnight.
Right. And her reasoning for this.
Her reasoning was that she was, quote, testing the durability of zippers. She has clumsy feet, a boisterous laugh, and just this relentless energy.
Right. She basically interacts with the world via impact.
Yeah,
And then we have Sammy.
the mechanical engineer.
Exactly. And Sammy has built his entire life on the foundation of predictability. I mean, he operates on lists.
Everything is written down.
Everything. His desk is meticulously organized. And he finds this immense psychological comfort in knowing the exact minute his pizza delivery will arrive.
The text notes the man has never broken a bone.
Not one.
He never received detention growing up.
Yep.
And he has never even raised his voice in public. He is practically a perfectly balanced spreadsheet in human form.
That's a great way to put it.
But wait, let me push back on this a little. Isn't this just the classic rom-com setup? You know, the uptight guy and the manic pixie dream girl? How does the author bridge that gap without it feeling completely forced? Because in the real world, a hyper-organized engineer would probably find a walking natural disaster utterly exhausting.
That is the crucial distinction here. Al-Khalifa doesn't frame Sammy's organization as just a fun personality quirk.
Okay.
If we look closely at his behavior, his hyper-organization is actually an avoidant coping mechanism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he uses order, lists, and predictability to insulate himself from vulnerability. He's playing it incredibly safe to avoid the messiness of real human emotion.
Ah, so he's hiding.
Exactly. Nora isn't just a quirky distraction. She is a necessary disruption. And that brings us to the inciting incident, which is incredibly literal.
Extremely literal. The meet cute happens when Nora accidentally rams a shopping cart into Sammy's car.
And not just once.
No, she hits his car twice.
Twice.
Because as she's flustered and panicking, her defense is that she was trying to stop a runaway cart with her foot.
Which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, if you've ever tried to stop a heavy metal shopping cart with your foot, you know it defies the laws of physics. It's just a terrible idea, and it perfectly encapsulates how Nora navigates the world.
What's fascinating here is Sammy's reaction.
Right.
Think about his psychology. This is a man whose entire existence is predicated on avoiding dents, both literal and metaphorical.
Yeah.
A shopping cart smashing into his car should trigger a massive stress response. It is a severe disruption of his rigid routine. But he doesn't yell.
He doesn't panic.
He doesn't panic. He looks at the dent, looks at Nora standing there in her delightful chaos, and simply says, It's all right.
Their first exchange is so telling. He looks at her and asks, "Is this how you always are? So kinetic."
Yeah.
And Nora replies, "Only on Mondays." It's so disarming. But realistically, if someone smashed a cart into your car, you're usually exchanging insurance information, not witty banter. Why does he let it go so easily?
Because of cognitive dissonance, the rigidity of his life, the lists, the predictable pizza, it's safe, but it's incredibly sterile.
It's boring.
Right. He is subconsciously exhausted by his own need for control. When Nora smashes into his car, she breaks the script. Instead of reacting with anger, he actually experiences a strange sense of relief.
Wow.
It's a concept sometimes called disruptive intimacy. The disruption forces him out of his performative control and right into the present moment. He doesn't hate the chaos. On a fundamental level, he welcomes it.
I see where you're going with this. It's like a pressure valve releasing for him.
Exactly.
And he definitely leans into it because the courtship that follows is just a masterclass in escalating absurdity. They have to wait for the accident report, so they go get coffee. Naturally. And Nora spills half her coffee directly onto Sammy's lap.
And he still asks for her number.
I have to ask, what is the psychological drive here? He's wearing half a latte. Most people would politely exit the situation.
Well, he is captivated by the lack of structure.
Yeah.
With every spilled coffee or broken rule, Sammy is watching his own self-imposed boundaries dissolve, and he's realizing the sky isn't falling.
He's still okay.
He's safe. Nora is proving to him that mistakes aren't fatal.
Which brings us to their first official date. They go to a cooking class.
A very Sammy-approved activity.
Very. There are recipes, exact measurements, clear steps to follow. But you put Nora in that environment, and things devolve quickly.
Very quickly.
They end up transforming the pasta machine into a slingshot.
Which is amazing.
And they actually get kicked out of the class. And Sammy, the guy who never raises his voice, is covered head to toe in flour, laughing harder than he ever has in his life.
That scene is vital. Let's look at the neurochemistry of what's happening there.
Okay, let's hear it.
When adults engage in unstructured play, especially play that involves breaking minor social scripts like getting kicked out of a cooking class, it triggers a massive release of dopamine and oxytocin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, shared adversity, even low-stakes adversity like this, bonds humans incredibly fast. They aren't just having a good time. Their brains are actively wiring together through shared novelty.
There is a line of dialogue in that scene that I think anchors the whole dynamic. Sammy looks at her, covered in flour, and says, "You're not real." And Nora grins and says, "Neither are rules."
It's a brilliant exchange.
Yeah.
She is giving him explicit permission to drop his armor. The rules he has lived by his whole life haven't actually made him happy. They've just kept him insulated.
From there, the milestones they hit as a couple are wildly untraditional. Forget the first vacation or meeting the parents. Nora and Sammy's milestones include getting stuck in an elevator,
Right.
flooding a friend's bathroom accidentally,
Yes.
accidentally joining a biker rally. Oh, and Nora coercing Sammy into karaoke.
We should take a second to analyze the biker rally, or really any of these events.
Yeah.
Why are these presented as romantic milestones?
Well, it forces them to navigate alien environments together, right? It strips away any pretense.
Back.
But I'm still marveling at the sheer volume of accidents. At a certain point, doesn't it become too much? How does a relationship survive this much continuous disaster without burning out?
That's the core of Al Khalifa's thesis right there. They survive it, because these aren't just random accidents to them anymore. Nora and Sammy are actively building a shared language of chaos.
A shared language.
Yes. Every absurd moment, the pasta slingshot, the flooded bathroom, the biker rally, it forms a highly specific vocabulary that belongs only to them.
Oh, I love that.
To anyone looking from the outside, it just looks like a string of calamities. But internally, they're creating a microculture where mistakes are celebrated as shared adventures.
So it bonds them in a way that a perfectly planned, serene candlelit dinner never could.
Precisely. Consider Sammy's crowning achievement in this chaotic courtship, getting a tattoo on Adair.
Oh my gosh, the tattoo.
And it's not a subtle, meaningful quote. He gets a tattoo of a potato wearing sunglasses.
A mechanical engineer with a perfectly ordered desk now has a cool potato permanently inked on his body, and he refers to it as the happiest mistake of his life.
Think about what a tattoo represents. It is permanence. For a man who lived his life avoiding mistakes and changes, putting a permanent, ridiculous mark on his body is a profound structural shift in his identity.
It really...
He is memorializing his pivot from order to chaos. He is marking his allegiance to Nora's way of living.
It's like they've formed a secret society of two, where the only entry requirement is embracing the mess.
Exactly.
But if the story only stayed at that high-octane slapstick level, it might feel a bit shallow. There is a very distinct shift in tone later in the text, moving into their private domestic life. We get to see the quiet heart beneath all the loud chaos.
That shift is essential for the narrative to hold weight. It proves their connection isn't just fueled by the adrenaline of unpredictability.
The author gives us this intimate look at their evenings together. Nora makes Sammy wear LED star stickers on his face while they watch horror movies.
Right.
And Sammy, the highly logical engineer who understands special effects and probability, actually feigns fear during these movies. He deliberately pretends to be scared just so he can hear her laugh. So sweet.
And in those quiet moments, when she isn't tripping over things or causing a scene, she looks at him and asks this incredibly vulnerable question. She whispers, "You still like me?"
That line reveals so much. Despite all her boisterous energy, Nora carries human insecurity. She knows she is chaotic. She likely worries that she is too much for people, especially someone as grounded as Sammy.
And his response is immediate and unwavering. He just says, "I'm obsessed."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where Abdullah al-Khalifa's broader philosophy from the Whispers of the Shape of Love collection really anchors the narrative.
Right.
Al-Khalifa operates on the premise that profound love doesn't always live in dramatic declarations or grandiose gestures. More often, it exists in silence.
Yeah.
It exists in the simple, steady presence of another person. It lives in the space between two people who understand each other's core wounds without needing to explain them out loud.
It ties back to the author's recurring theme that true connection is felt, not forced. Exactly. And the beautiful irony of Nora and Sammy's relationship is that it appears to be built on loud, kinetic chaos, the shopping carts and biker rallies. But the foundation sustaining it is a quiet, profound acceptance.
Because he doesn't try to change her.
Right. Sammy accepts Nora's whirlwind nature without ever trying to fix her or calm her down. And Nora accepts Sammy's need for a safe harbor, providing a space where he can finally let his guard down. The chaos is merely the outer shell. The core is silent, complete understanding.
It really is a gorgeous synthesis of two completely different ways of being in the world. Which leads us to the culmination of their story. 3 years after the double shopping cart incident, they get married.
And the wedding is perfectly uniquely them.
It really is. It's a backyard ceremony decorated with glow sticks and inflatable animals. The wedding cake is shaped like a UFO, which the text notes was entirely Nora's idea.
It's a total rejection of the performative, curated wedding aesthetic we see so much of today. There is no pretension, just genuine, unfiltered joy that makes sense to them.
And their life afterward follows the exact same pattern. They move into what the author describes as a slightly tilted house on a breezy hill.
Not a pristine, symmetrical house.
No, a slightly tilted one. They get a cat named Pancake. They make this lifetime commitment to unpredictability. The text notes that they didn't always make sense to the outside world, but they created magic. So what does this all mean when we boil this entire narrative down? What is the core insight we should be taking away?
The author provides a very clear philosophical takeaway at the end of the text. What Al-Khalifa is doing here is dismantling the modern, highly curated aesthetic of the perfect relationship.
Yes.
We have so much societal conditioning telling us that a healthy relationship should look like a calm, unruffled lake. No arguments, no spilled coffee, no derailed plans. But this story argues that friction isn't a glitch in the system of love. It is the system.
That is a great way to put it. We spend so much time trying to sanitize our relationships of any messiness, but in doing so, we might actually be sanitizing them of vulnerability. The mess isn't a sign that something is failing. Sometimes the mess is where the actual bonding happens. You can't fake your reaction when your kitchen is covered in flour or when you're dealing with a flooded bathroom. Those moments strip away your ego and force you to be entirely authentic with your partner.
This raises an important question, and I think it's one everyone listening should pause and reflect on.
Absolutely.
If you look at your own life, at your own relationships, romantic, platonic, or familial, are you expending all your energy trying to force a serene, perfect narrative? Are you trying so hard to keep the house perfectly straight, metaphorically speaking, that you're missing out on the joy of a slightly tilted reality? By rejecting the chaos, are you actually rejecting the very moments that could build genuine, deep connection?
It is so easy to get caught up in the optics of how our lives are supposed to look rather than fully inhabiting the reality of how they actually are. If you are the kind of person who tracks your food delivery down to the minute, maybe it's time to let the pasta machine become a slingshot.
I completely agree.
If this exploration resonates with you and you find yourself drawn to literature that challenges our ideas about emotional connection, you really should check out the full source material. Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah Al-Khalifa is available as an ebook on Amazon Kindle. We've put a link for you right in the description. It is a fantastic read for anyone who wants to explore the different shapes that love and vulnerability can take.
It is a valuable text, particularly if you're interested in how literature can challenge our modern, sanitized views of human intimacy.
Let's take a quick look back at the ground we've covered today. We started with a hyper-organized engineer who used predictability as a shield, and a kinetic whirlwind of a woman who tested zippers by getting locked in dressing rooms.
A classic collision.
We explored how a literal collision of shopping carts dismantled avoidant coping mechanisms. We saw how shared adversity, like getting kicked out of a cooking class or surviving a flooded bathroom, forges powerful neurochemical bonds.
Yeah, that dopamine and oxytocin release.
And ultimately, we saw them build a profound, quiet intimacy in a slightly tilted house with a cat named Pancake. They demonstrated that you don't need rigid rules when you're willing to embrace the magic of the unexpected.
They found their quiet sanctuary right in the eye of the storm.
They absolutely did. And as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. We've explored how Sammy and Nora's deepest, most unshakable connection was forged in the fires of spilled coffee, bad ideas, and accidental chaos.
Right.
So, if the most profound and genuine connections are often born in our messiest, most unstructured mistakes, what shopping cart collisions in your own life might you be trying desperately to avoid right now that could actually be the start of your greatest adventure?
A fantastic question to leave off on.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us on this deep dive. We always appreciate exploring these concepts with you. Until next time, don't be afraid to embrace a little unpredictability and take care.